A steakhouse feels like a safe splurge. Sizzling cuts, white tablecloths, the promise of quality. But for older Australians, danger hides behind that charred crust. From undercooked meat harboring deadly bacteria to kitchens crawling with pests, these chains are gambling with your health. Today we expose 9 steakhouses you must avoid and the 2 that are actually worth your trust. Coming in at number 9, we have Sizzler. Sizzler built its reputation on affordable steaks and that famous salad bar. For decades, it was the place families went for a special occasion without breaking the bank. They promise quality cuts at reasonable prices. Walk through those glass doors and you see families loading plates. The smell of grilled beef mixing with the warm sweetness of freshly baked cheese toast. It feels wholesome. It feels safe. But Sizzler has a dark history that many Australians have forgotten. In 1995, a Sizzler restaurant in South Australia was linked to one of the most severe hemolytic uremic syndrome outbreaks in Australian history. 23 people were hospitalized. One elderly woman died. The source was traced back to contaminated food that had not been stored or handled at safe temperatures. Children and elderly customers suffered the worst outcomes because their immune systems simply could not fight back. You might think that was nearly 30 years ago. Surely they cleaned up their act, but patterns of poor food handling have persisted across buffet-style operations worldwide. The fundamental problem with buffet dining remains unchanged. Food sits out for extended periods. Temperature control is inconsistent. Cross-contamination is almost inevitable when dozens of customers use the same serving utensils. For seniors managing diabetes or heart conditions, the risks multiply. E. coli does not just cause stomach cramps. It can trigger hemolytic uremic syndrome, which attacks the kidneys. If you are already taking medications that stress your kidneys, an infection like this could cause permanent damage. One meal. Permanent kidney damage. That is the gamble you take at a buffet. The salad bar, once Sizzler's claim to fame, has become a liability. Wilted lettuce sitting in pooled water. Croutons left uncovered and exposed to airborne contaminants. Sneeze guards that are either missing or ineffective. You walk in expecting a nostalgic dining experience. What you get is a bacterial lottery. The promise was value and variety. The reality is a model built on risk. At number 8, we have Lone Star Rib House. Lone Star Rib House markets itself as the home of authentic American-style dining. Massive portions, bold flavors, that smoky, charred aroma that hits you the moment you walk through the door. They promise a genuine Texas experience right here in Australia. But behind the cowboy hats and country music, problems have been simmering. Multiple Lone Star locations across Australia have faced food safety complaints over the years. Customers have reported receiving ribs that were pink near the bone, a clear sign of undercooking. Others have described steaks arriving lukewarm, having sat under heat lamps for too long before being served. The smell might be right, the sizzle might sound perfect, but if the internal temperature of that meat never reached safe levels, you are swallowing a dose of bacteria with every bite. Now picture yourself as a senior on blood pressure medication. You take your pills every morning. You watch your diet. You think you are being careful. But what you cannot see is the sodium hiding in that marinade. A single serve of their signature ribs can contain well over 2,000 milligrams of sodium. That is nearly an entire day's recommended limit in one sitting. Your medication is fighting to keep your blood pressure stable. One meal at Lone Star could undo everything your doctor prescribed. The portion sizes are marketed as generous value. But for anyone managing cholesterol or heart disease, consuming that much saturated fat in one sitting puts serious strain on your cardiovascular system. Add the coleslaw drenched in mayonnaise and the buttery corn on the cob, and you are looking at a meal that could literally clog your arteries. The promise is big American flavor. The reality is a sodium bomb wrapped in rustic marketing. Why do restaurants keep hiding dangerous sodium levels behind words like authentic and homestyle? Now at number 7, Hog's Breath Cafe. Hog's Breath Cafe is an Australian institution. Their signature prime rib steak, cooked low and slow for 18 hours, has been drawing crowds since the first location opened in Airlie Beach back in 1989. They promise tender, flavorful beef that melts in your mouth. But tenderness can mask danger. The 18-hour cooking process sounds impressive, but if temperature controls slip even slightly during that extended cooking time, you create the perfect environment for bacterial growth. Food safety authorities recommend that meat should not remain in the temperature danger zone between 5 and 60 degrees Celsius for more than 4 hours total. 18 hours of cooking requires constant monitoring, precise equipment, and staff training that may not always be consistent across dozens of franchise locations. Health complaints have surfaced over the years regarding Hog's Breath locations. Customers have reported receiving steaks that appeared cooked on the outside, but were concerningly rare in the center. Others have described side dishes that tasted stale or salads that had clearly been sitting out too long. The texture of that prime rib might feel luxuriously soft, but that softness could be hiding meat that never reached the temperatures needed to kill harmful pathogens. For seniors on immunosuppressive medications, common after organ transplants or for autoimmune conditions, these lapses are not minor inconveniences. They are potentially life-threatening. Your body cannot fight off bacteria the way it once could. What might give a younger person an upset stomach could put you in hospital for weeks. According to Food Standards Australia-New Zealand, adults over 65 are significantly more likely to experience severe complications from foodborne illness. Your immune system weakens with age. Your stomach produces less acid to kill bacteria. One contaminated meal can spiral into dehydration, kidney failure, or worse. The promise is melt-in-your-mouth perfection. The reality is a cooking method that requires flawless execution every single time. Number 6 on our list is Outback Steakhouse. Outback built an empire on the promise of Australian-inspired hospitality and quality steaks. The bloomin' onion, the perfectly seared sirloin, the claim that they hand-cut their steaks fresh every day. Ironic, really, that a restaurant using Australian branding is actually an American chain that many Australians have embraced without knowing its origins. But recent years have exposed cracks in that reputation. Consumer complaints have surged regarding food quality at Outback locations. Customers have reported receiving steaks that were gray in the center despite ordering medium rare. Others have described a slimy texture on their meat, a telltale sign of bacterial growth. You cut into that steak expecting a beautiful pink center, and instead, you see something that looks like it has been sitting in the back of a fridge for days. International health inspections of Outback locations have uncovered concerning patterns. Inspectors have found raw chicken stored directly above beef in refrigeration units, allowing chicken juices to drip onto steaks. They have documented cutting boards with deep grooves, impossible to sanitize, still being used for food preparation. In some locations, ice machines have tested positive for mold, the same ice that goes into your water glass. For seniors, the sodium content at Outback is another hidden danger. Their bloomin' onion appetizer alone contains over 1,950 calories and enough sodium to send your blood pressure readings into dangerous territory. They market it as a shareable starter, but the damage begins before your main course even arrives. If you are on ACE inhibitors or beta blockers, excessive sodium interferes with how your medications work. You take your pills faithfully, thinking you are protected. One appetizer at Outback could undermine everything your cardiologist prescribed. The promise is a special night out. The reality is Australian branding wrapped around American fast casual standards. If this helps you stay safer when dining out, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these exposés. Coming in at number 5, Hurricane's Grill. Hurricane's Grill has positioned itself as a premium steakhouse experience. Famous for their massive beef ribs and their signature basting sauces, they have locations in some of Australia's most iconic spots, including Darling Harbour and Bondi Beach. The smell of charring meat drifts across the waterfront. Tourists and locals alike queue for tables. It feels like an event, but premium prices do not always guarantee premium safety. The sheer volume of customers at peak locations creates pressure on kitchen staff that can lead to shortcuts. Meat that should rest gets rushed to tables. Orders that should be double-checked for doneness get sent out because the queue is backing up. You are paying top dollar for that ribeye. But in a kitchen running at full capacity, your steak might not receive the attention it deserves. Customer complaints have mentioned inconsistent cooking temperatures. One person orders medium and receives medium rare. Another orders the same cut and gets something closer to well done. Inconsistency might seem like a minor annoyance, but for seniors who need their meat cooked to safe temperatures, that variability could mean the difference between a pleasant dinner and a week in hospital. The basting sauces, while delicious, hide significant sodium and sugar content. A single serving of their signature ribs, drenched in that glossy sauce, can contain sodium levels that would shock your cardiologist. If you are managing type 2 diabetes alongside heart disease, as many older Australians are, that combination of hidden sugar and salt creates a metabolic nightmare. The promise is a waterfront dining experience worth remembering. The reality is a high-volume operation where your health takes a back seat to throughput. Stick around, the fix is coming. But first, there are 4 more chains you absolutely need to know about. At number 4, Ribs and Burgers. Ribs and Burgers has expanded rapidly across Australia, promising slow-cooked ribs and grass-fed beef in a casual, family-friendly environment. The open kitchen concept lets you watch your food being prepared. The aroma of smoking meat fills the restaurant. It feels transparent. It feels honest. But what you see from your table does not tell the whole story. The rapid expansion of any restaurant chain creates quality control challenges. New locations open with staff still learning procedures. Equipment might not be calibrated correctly. Supply chains get stretched thin. What works perfectly at the flagship store can fall apart at location number 30. Training manuals gather dust while understaffed kitchens try to keep up with demand. Customer reviews have highlighted concerning patterns. Reports of ribs arriving cold in the center despite the exterior appearing properly cooked. Complaints about cross-contamination between allergens, with customers who requested gluten-free options receiving food that clearly touched standard buns. For seniors with coeliac disease or gluten sensitivities, that kind of carelessness can trigger severe reactions that last for days. The inflammation spreads through your gut. Your immune system goes into overdrive. What should have been a pleasant dinner becomes a week of recovery. A 2022 survey by Food Safety Information Council found that 4.1 million Australians experience food poisoning each year. The elderly are disproportionately represented in hospitalizations and deaths from these incidents. 1 in 3 seniors who contract severe food poisoning will experience complications lasting longer than a month. That is not a stomach bug. That is a medical event that could change your quality of life permanently. The grass-fed beef marketing sounds healthier. But grass-fed does not mean safely handled. It does not mean properly cooked. It does not mean the cutting board was sanitized between customers. You are paying for a story about where the beef came from. You should be asking what happened to it after it arrived at the restaurant. The promise is transparency and quality. The reality is a franchise model racing to expand faster than training can keep up. What is the worst meal you have ever had at a steakhouse? Drop it in the comments below. Number 3 on our countdown is the Bavarian. The Bavarian might not be the first place you think of when you hear steakhouse, but their menu features substantial steak options alongside their famous schnitzels and German fare. They market themselves as a celebration destination, birthday parties, work functions, any excuse for oversized portions and flowing drinks. But celebration can quickly turn to regret. The Bavarian locations operate within larger entertainment precincts, often attached to cinemas and shopping centers. High foot traffic, constant turnover, kitchens that need to pump out food quickly to keep up with movie session times. That pressure cooker environment creates conditions where food safety becomes secondary to speed. When the 7 o'clock session lets out and 50 people flood the restaurant at once, corners get cut. Health authorities have noted that restaurants in entertainment precincts face unique challenges. Staff turnover is higher than industry average. Training is rushed because positions need filling immediately. The evening rush coincides with when kitchens are already fatigued from lunch service. Your 7 o'clock steak is being prepared by a team that has been on their feet for 10 hours straight. Mistakes happen when exhaustion sets in, and those mistakes end up on your plate without you ever knowing. The oversized portions are marketed as value. A 400-gram steak sounds impressive, but for seniors managing portion control for weight or heart health, that quantity of red meat in a single sitting puts serious strain on your digestive system. Your body struggles to process that volume of protein and fat. Your pancreas works overtime producing digestive enzymes. Add the creamy mushroom sauce and the buttery sides, and you are looking at a meal that will take days to fully metabolize. For those on blood thinners like warfarin, the vitamin K content in certain vegetable sides can interfere with your medication's effectiveness. One meal with the wrong combination of greens could destabilize dosing that took your doctor months to calibrate. Your INR levels could swing dangerously, putting you at risk of either clotting or bleeding complications. Neither outcome is acceptable when you are simply trying to enjoy dinner. The promise is celebration and indulgence. The reality is a high-pressure kitchen environment where your health is an afterthought. Do not go yet. You will not believe what the next one hides. At number 2, Rashays. Rashays has grown into one of Australia's largest family dining chains. With locations across New South Wales and expanding into other states, they promise generous portions at family-friendly prices. Their steak menu features everything from basic rump to premium cuts. The restaurants are bright, busy, and designed to turn tables quickly, but speed and value often come at a cost. The family dining model prioritizes volume over precision. Kitchens are designed to serve hundreds of covers per night. Steaks are cooked assembly line style, with timing based on averages rather than individual attention. Your medium rare might be someone else's medium. In a high-volume operation, the margin for error widens with every order. The grill cook is watching 12 steaks at once. Your order is just another ticket on a long rail. Customer reviews have consistently mentioned inconsistency. Steaks that vary wildly in quality from visit to visit. Sides that taste reheated rather than freshly prepared. The garlic bread might smell incredible when it arrives, but that aroma is masking bread that was batch cooked hours earlier and warmed up when your table ordered. You can smell the butter. You cannot smell the bacteria that thrive in improperly stored bread. For seniors, the portion sizing at Rashays creates hidden dangers. What looks like value actually encourages overeating. Studies show that Australians consistently underestimate portion sizes when eating at restaurants by up to 50%. Your body signals fullness about 20 minutes after you have actually had enough. In that time, you could consume an extra 1,000 calories without realizing it. For anyone managing weight for joint health or cardiovascular reasons, that surplus adds up week after week, visit after visit. The sodium content in their sauces and seasonings remains undisclosed on standard menus. You might ask for your steak plain, thinking you are being healthy, but the kitchen might still season it with their standard blend, adding hundreds of milligrams of sodium you never agreed to consume. Your kidneys have to process all of that excess. If you are already on diuretics or have reduced kidney function, you are adding strain to organs that are already working overtime. The fluid retention starts. Your ankles swell, your breathing gets labored. All from a meal you thought was simple. The promise is family value and generous serves. The reality is a volume operation where your individual health needs get lost in the rush. Ever noticed how these chains keep expanding, but the quality keeps dropping? And coming in at number 1, the absolute worst, is Pub Bistro Steaks. This might surprise you. We are not naming a single chain. We are calling out an entire category that millions of Australians trust without question. The Pub Bistro Steak, the local. The place you have been going for 20 years. The Wednesday night parmy and steak special. And it could be the most dangerous meal you eat all month. Pub kitchens operate under unique pressures that most diners never consider. The same kitchen producing your steak is also handling deep-fried bar snacks, reheating frozen chips, and managing the chaos of Friday night drink service. Cross-contamination is not a possibility. It is a near certainty. That cutting board used for your Scotch fillet might have had raw chicken on it an hour ago. The tongs flipping your steak touched raw mince for the burgers moments before. The same cloth used to wipe down surfaces after handling raw meat is now drying plates. Food safety inspections of pub kitchens across Australia reveal disturbing patterns. A 2023 report from New South Wales Food Authority found that hospitality venues, including pubs, accounted for a significant proportion of food safety breaches. Common violations included improper food storage temperatures, inadequate hand-washing facilities, and pest activity in food preparation areas. Cockroaches near the cool room, mouse droppings behind the fryer. These are not rare findings. They are documented realities that health inspectors encounter regularly. Picture the scene. You walk into your local on a Tuesday evening. The smell of beer and cooking oil hangs in the air. You order the rump steak, medium. The kitchen is staffed by 1 or 2 people trying to manage a full bistro menu. Your steak gets pulled from a fridge that might be running slightly too warm because no one has checked the temperature logs this week. It gets seasoned with salt from a container that has been sitting open near the fryer for hours, absorbing moisture and whatever else is floating through that kitchen air. The grill has not been properly cleaned since the lunch rush. For seniors, the pub steak special is particularly risky because of complacency. You have eaten there for years without getting sick, so you assume it is safe. But foodborne illness is cumulative. Your immune system gets weaker with each passing year. The meal that never caused problems at 55 could hospitalize you at 75. What you survived easily at 60 might be the meal that triggers sepsis at 80. Your body's ability to fight off pathogens diminishes decade by decade. The chips cooked in oil that has been used all week. The salad sitting in plastic containers since the morning prep. The pepper sauce made in a batch 3 days ago and reheated repeatedly. Every element of that pub meal carries risk that compounds with age. The bread rolls left in the warmer since lunch. The coleslaw that should have been discarded yesterday. The mushrooms sautéed in butter that sat at room temperature for hours. Each item adds another roll of the dice. According to the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, foodborne gastroenteritis contributes to over 200 deaths in Australia annually, with the elderly accounting for a disproportionate share. Most of these cases are never linked to a specific meal or venue. They happen quietly. A senior feels unwell after dinner, assumes it is a stomach bug, does not connect it to the steak they ate 2 nights ago. The doctor writes it up as viral gastro. The pub never knows. The pattern continues unchecked. The promise is comfort and familiarity. Your local, your regular order. The place where everyone knows your name. The reality is a kitchen under pressure, operating on thin margins, where food safety training is often the first thing cut when budgets get tight. Do we trust our health to kitchens we would never set foot in if we saw what happens behind that swinging door? Now here is what you have been waiting for. After everything we have exposed, you deserve to know which steakhouses actually prioritize your health and safety. There are places that do it right, places where quality control is not just marketing language but genuine practice. The good news is you do not have to give up steakhouse dining entirely. You just need to know where to go. The first safe option is Rockpool Bar and Grill. Rockpool Bar and Grill has built its reputation on consistency and quality control. Unlike casual chains cutting corners, Rockpool maintains strict protocols across its locations in Sydney and Melbourne. Their beef is sourced from premium suppliers with full traceability. You can ask where your steak came from and receive an honest answer. They work with producers they have vetted personally. Health inspection records show that Rockpool locations consistently pass with minimal or zero violations. Kitchens are designed for efficiency without cross-contamination risks. Staff undergo extensive food safety training that goes beyond basic certification. Management conducts regular audits to ensure compliance with health codes. The investment in training shows in every plate that leaves the kitchen. For seniors, Rockpool also offers better portion control. You can order a fillet that fits within healthy eating guidelines without pressure to consume massive portions. Their approach is quality over quantity. If you have dietary restrictions or medication concerns, servers are trained to accommodate special requests with genuine knowledge, not just scripted responses. They understand why sodium matters. They know which sauces can be modified. Rockpool is more expensive than casual chains. But when it comes to your health, you get what you pay for. Clean kitchens, properly handled meat, and meals that will not land you in the emergency room. The second recommendation is the Meat and Wine Company. The Meat and Wine Co. operates under a similar commitment to excellence. Their signature offering is the Boar and Wagyu, with beef sourced from their own herds raised under controlled conditions. This vertical integration means they control quality from paddock to plate. No middlemen introducing contamination risks, no mystery sourcing. They know exactly what happened to that beef at every stage of its journey. Food safety inspections of their locations consistently show high marks for cleanliness, food storage, and preparation practices. Staff undergo comprehensive training that goes beyond minimum requirements. The kitchens are designed for proper separation of raw and cooked products. Temperature monitoring is constant and documented. For seniors managing specific health conditions, the Meat and Wine Co. offers transparency about ingredients and preparation methods. You can inquire about sodium content, ask for sauces on the side, and receive accurate information to make informed choices. They also prioritize ambiance and pacing. Meals are not rushed. You have time to enjoy your food, which aids digestion. This is particularly important for anyone with gastrointestinal sensitivities or those who need to eat slowly for medication timing. Both Rockpool and the Meat and Wine Co. prove that steakhouse dining does not have to be a gamble. Quality establishments with rigorous safety standards exist. You just have to know where to look and be willing to invest in your health. Not all steakhouses are created equal. Some are gambling with your health every time you walk through the door. Now you know which ones to avoid and which ones deserve your trust. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.